Okay, so before I start, here is a little behind the scenes.
What are you doing?
I'm working on my project.
And now what are you doing?
I'm working on the project.
What are you doing?
I'm working on the project.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I am working on the project.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
What are you doing?
That's how this month looked like. You can call it whatever you want. I would prefer calling it a project, and the description of it you would find in the next video or in the link below. Now, before I jump into the 10 things I learned this month, here's a little disclaimer. First, even when I speak in an imperative mode, this video is not an advice, since we haven't even completed, accomplished or launched anything yet. These are just some insights and conclusions we learned on the way. Second, please pardon my English and my video making skills, both are not my mother tongue. Okay, let's start. First, working with a partner is a blessing. In general, even if you do sports, arts, or working on a scientific research, just the fact that you have to report to someone who is watching your progress, you suddenly have deadlines, you feel responsible. You have to say your ideas aloud to someone, and therefore you have to prepare for that. And meanwhile you prepare, you reflect a lot. You have someone to constantly discuss your ideas and brainstorm with, someone who adds perspectives and values to your project, someone who reminds you that you have to keep working. And this someone is driven by the same dream. Second, you might have heard this statement in various videos, tutorials, podcasts, but I can now totally identify with that and confirm how true it is. There are no days off. It might sound like something intimidating before you start working on your project, but once you're on it, it becomes the most organic and fun thing to do. It's when you feel the adrenaline and self-expression and joy and pride. You would be watching YouTube tutorials and TED lectures on your way to work in the train, reading articles before you go to sleep, rolling the ideas in your mind while you're working out, curious about everything around your topic. And if it feels right, that probably means that you're on the right way. Third, the final result is not everything. The work is. Let me explain. Before I started working on the project, I was fantasizing about the final result only, imagining how great it would be if I managed to create it and how scary or sad it will be if I fail. Since the work began, I started realizing how many values it brings to my life. I learned a lot in this month. I met and connected with the most interesting and amazing people from various industries. I'm finally working on something that is mine, something that I truly feel connected to, which is something that colors my days and keeps my mood always up. Almost always. The work on this project makes me evoke and develop so many skills and expertises. In case the project won't be a success, which is impossible, it will still open many new doors. And that brings me to the next point. Fourth, you must be an expert of everything. You cannot and you don't want to say something like, I'm not a social media expert, I don't like social media, I will not do it. No. If there is something that might help your project grow, you would go and read and learn and do it. It's your baby, so you want to know everything that can help it grow and flourish. That's how I renewed my Instagram and Facebook activities. That's how I'm back to making videos. That is how I learned a lot of technical terminology, techniques and tools, in order to also understand what my partner is doing and how can I help him, how can I understand him, how can we be aligned to make sure we're speaking the same language and moving in the same direction. By the way, I have the most amazing project partner. He shares everything, explains everything, sends articles. He's curious, he's patient, he's serious and yet easygoing. Huge shout out to him. Huge. 5. The project must not be a replacement for any of the activities that keeps you healthy. Probably the most important thing I have learned on the way. I used to meditate and work out and speaking to my loved ones and journal and going to sleep early every day. Once I started replacing those things with my project, my health and concentration levels dropped and the productivity of mine got much worse. I understood that even when I haven't finished my tasks and now it's a time for me to sleep or eat. I just have to do it. It might cause me to postpone the accomplishment of my tasks, but then I will do them well and I will have energy left to other tasks. 6. Don't be afraid to look primitive. You can use the language that will help your audience understand that your product is not final yet and that it's still under construction, but do not be afraid not to look super qualified right from the beginning. You might compare yourself to the big brands and then feeling uncomfortable with what you're doing now, but you'd better check how did they look like when they started. They usually started from small and simple. The important thing is to start. And here I would like to refer to a person who had encouraged me to start. His name is Heini Zachariassen and he's the Vivino founder. I find his videos the most precise, straight to the point, organized and hands-on. I will put a link to one of his videos somewhere in the video or below. I hugely recommend you to check him out. 7. It might sound obvious, but check whatever you create on yourself, on your friends, on your partner. For example, once you build a website, go to the preview option and try to fill all the fields. Scroll, push all the buttons, read all the texts you yourself have written. Accept the technical issues. Once you start testing your own product, you might discover that, for example, it is difficult to answer the question you yourself have composed, or that there are no transitions between the paragraphs in the text you've written, so it doesn't seem logic once you read it. So just go back and simplify it. 8. Sign an agreement. At least a temporary one, at least a simple one. That will make you feel that your project is actually realistic, and it would make you understand each other's tasks, roles, duties. By the way, in spite of all the existing templates, I think for me it was the hardest part, because once you start the project, you have so many questions and it is a little bit difficult to compose a document that summarizes your activity. That's why I'm saying that maybe at the beginning it's better to start with something simple and temporary. Just write down the things that you already know about your project, and yet do it. 9. Work with a planner. It's your own project. There is no boss to tell you what to do, when and where, and it's very easy to get lost. I have my own personal planner that helps me tremendously to keep the rhythm, and then me and my project partner run a shared planner online so that we could remember who does what and to be synchronized on our tasks. By the way, the planner I'm using is the one by Brendon Burchard. It is not a commercial. I recently discovered his techniques and I use some of his products, and they do help me to organize my life, so I will put a link on the planner in the description as well. 10. Be open to the opinions of others. There will be criticism. Constructive, destructive, some might like, some might dislike, and that's fine. That's even good and healthy. Take everything into consideration. Check things up. If it does make sense to you, adjust your product. If it doesn't make sense to you, keep doing things your way. But since the project we are working on is being made for people, we do need to learn what people think and want. We have even distributed a questionnaire to encourage people to share their opinions with us. Now, when I think about it, I might put a link on the questionnaire in the description as well, so that you could participate in the research if you'd like to, and that would be very much appreciated. In general, feel completely free to communicate with us. Send us your thoughts, your ideas, your doubts, your questions, your advice, links that you find useful. And whether you do so or not, thank you. Thank you so very much for any action you take to support us. Just in case you didn't know, your subscription to this channel, you leaving a like to this video, your watching this video will allow this channel to exist.